Francis Suarez, City of Miami Mayor-elect. It's very different. I'm not used to yet saying that. I was a commissioner, city commissioner for 8 years, and it takes a little time to get used to the new title. Well, you have to oversee the budget of the City of Miami. You present the budget. You do a state of the city. I think the mayor has to be the visionary and the vision for the city, provide the vision for the city to work in lockstep. I think the mayor has to be someone who facilitates legislation, who works cohesively with the commission. It's a new role for me because as a commissioner, I couldn't talk to my colleagues on the city commission. I had a sunshine law prohibition, and the mayor does not have that. So the mayor now can create consensus easier, and certainly using that ability, hopefully can forge a better future for the city. I think that we have the greatest city in the world, and we should be the greatest city in the world. And I was born and raised here, potentially the first mayor born in the city of Miami in 121 years. And so for me, I want us to have the best quality of life in the world. And that starts with making sure we're the most resilient city in the world, making sure that our transportation infrastructure is updated, making sure that we have the best public spaces, and making sure that we have a safe city where our families can safely raise children. A lot of lessons. I think one of the first lessons is you're always mayor. You're mayor everywhere you go. I just in the last few days, people stopping me in the street and hey, congratulations. I mean, you're always the mayor. That's one of the biggest lessons. So seeing him as an example. I think the second one is, as mayor, you have an opportunity to determine what you focus on. And I think we have a tale of two cities. We have a beautiful city that's growing, and it's, sort of the envy of the world in many ways and has a very strong brand. And then we have another city that is struggling with poverty, struggling with mobility issues, struggling with economic resiliency issues. And so as mayor, I want to focus on making sure that we bridge that divide and have a city that, to the maximum extent possible, all our citizens born in the city have an opportunity to be very successful in. I think I want to be a little bit more plugged in, a little bit more involved in sort of the day-to-day legislative process. I want to have ideas that create legislation in terms of how we operate as a city. I definitely want, I'm a consensus builder. I mean, everything I've done in my career, whether it's being the vice chairman of the TPO, whether it's being president of the League of Cities, my personality is being a bridge builder. And so I definitely want to use my energy and my youth to spend the time with my colleagues on the City Commission to make sure that we're all walking to the maximum extent possible, in a unified fashion. We've had a great commission. I've been very blessed to have the colleagues that I've had on the commission, very drama-free. And that's something that is unusual for the City of Miami, and I'd love for that trend to continue. Once we turned the corner, once we decided as a commission that we were going to approve a non-general obligation bond, a non-ad valorem bond, to restore and renovate the Marine Stadium. We've had a lot of success with the Flex Park, what they call a Flex Park, where it's really more of an event space. And obviously, we've also ruffled some feathers with that, with the lawsuit with Key Biscayne. So, I love to be able to conclude that lawsuit in a way that is beneficial to both cities, but also in a way that protects this precious asset of the city for our residents that want to use it. I think we need to readdress that. I mean, I think certainly I'd like to talk to the district commissioner specifically about that issue. The idea, what we were sold, was that it would be flexible. In other words, it would be like a rubberized surface, synthetic surface that kids could play soccer on, and then that could easily be rolled away and used for events. And the second part the first part hasn't really happened. So I want to take a look at that. I want to see how feasible it is, because I do think that, first of all, it's important when you make a promise that you have to keep it, particularly in the public sector. And secondly, I think, Miami has a shortage of public spaces. And I think a big part of my time as commissioner and hopefully as mayor is converting some, urban spaces into public spaces, like the Underline, for example. So I think the Miami Boat Show has been successful. We've had it for a couple of years. I had been one of the proponents of making it sort of a year-by-year trial, if you will, and I think it's gone very well. Interestingly, I don't think Key Biscayne in its dispute really it worries so much about the boat show anymore. They're worried about multiple boat shows or multiple big events. And that's an understandable worry. And so hopefully, you know, with my leadership and with the district commissioner, who I have a great relationship with, we can find a way to bridge that divide and do something that's good for both sides. I know that they want to see the park that's adjacent to the Flex Park activated, and I think that would be good for both cities, and it would be something that we can potentially roll into some sort of a settlement with them. There was an article today, in fact, where we have the highest rental market in the U.S. I've seen other articles that say we have the second highest rental market as a percentage of income in the nation. So we absolutely have to address that. And we have to address that by creating incentives to build affordable housing, being creative in the building of affordable, extremely low income and moderate or workforce housing. I proposed things as commissioner that have created housing in all three levels through my amendment to Miami 21 for affordable housing, through impact fee deferrals for workforce housing initiatives, and permit fee eliminations for extremely low income housing, just to give you an example of one in each category. But I think we have to continue to be creative in terms of the resources. The bond that just passed has $100 million for affordable housing. And I think that if we're creative in our entitlement program, if we're creative with some of our CRAs, if we're creative with our partnerships with landowners, I really do think that the city can at least move the needle significantly. You know, we have limitations, like every government, every company, you know, every person has limitations. But I think for me, the challenge is to get up every morning and know you're doing the very best that you can to solve this problem.